did you learn about? Do they have any new ways to combat the and to prepare for this for that type of situation?
There's always lessons to be learned, and we don't like to Monday morning quarterback, but you
Hmm.
can always learn lessons from incidents that have happened. Um, I'm very proud of the fact that the Lovington Police Department and Lovington Municipal Schools about 3 or 4 months ago set up a school safety committee. We meet every month with Ms. Quinones, superintendent, and other members of the school board,
Hmm.
and we go over things about school safety. We are in the process of updating safety measures at all Lovington schools. We did have our active shooter training 2 months ago, which is the first this city's had in 7 years, courtesy
Wow.
of the Lee County Sheriff's Office. So we are definitely very involved and very aware that it's a threat anywhere.
Why wait so long, Chief?
I don't know. I've only been chief for 14 months, but when I took over, obviously, I think it's something that had to be done. We have to train. The more you train, the better you respond. So we're going to make it an annual event.
And is there a certain particular time of year that you're going to do it?
Not sure. This year it turned out we did it in October, but at least once a year is my goal.
Yeah.
We don't have the resources to put it on ourselves. So this year it was the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and it was on a Saturday. School administration and teachers took part. Almost all our officers were able to take part, and I think everybody agreed it was very successful and very eye-opening, both for the department and for the school board.
Yeah. So now you received all that data, looked it over, see where we could improve on this, maybe do things differently. What did you see from that data?
Um, Ways we can respond better if there's an incident in the school, ways law enforcement can get access. You got to remember Lovington has, I believe, 9 different schools, and they're
Mhm.
spread out over the city. So it's not in one concentrated area. So one thing that they teach you now, which we learned in Columbine over 20 years ago, is something happens in a school, a shooting, you don't wait for SWAT to respond.
Right.
If you're there by yourself, you're going in by yourself. You're taking out the threat. You're not waiting for reinforcements. Every officer's got to know that.
Hmm.
And we just want to have the ability to get into each school, and we are working on that so that we can respond and not be waiting outside the school.
Yeah. And of course, then reinforcements come once you know everything, once we know what's happening inside that building.
Right, and then it becomes a scene management issue with reuniting the kids with their families,
Mhm.
making sure the emergency vehicles can get to and from the school, treating any injured. So, but basically, the takeaways have been if you're going in that school, whether it's me or 2 officers, you're going in, you're not waiting.
Hmm. I know that when we were in Roswell, me, myself, and a couple other announcers in that radio station we worked at, there was actually a shooting that happened at junior high.
Right.
Now I was gone. I'd just gone on vacation the day before. So, but you had 100+ experience of radio announcers there, and we treated it as we do everything. We didn't have any training in that, just our personal experience in that. And in a situation, if it was to happen here or somewhere else, what did you guys do on the subject of dealing with the media?
It's important to deal with the media because the message is going to get out. Those kids that are trapped in that school, they have cell phones. So the message is going to get out, and we have to get the right message out and a unified message with the schools.
Because I know that when that happened over there, they got so many phone calls there at the radio station. Yeah, they had cell phones too. But the one thing that we did not want to do is make the situation worse.
Right. There's always misinformation and rumors that go out there, and the media and the phones get bogged down a little bit, but you want to get the message out there. You're not looking to cover up any information. You just want to make sure it's the right message and you're not endangering anybody, and you're dealing with the situation. And as things progress, you give out more and more information.
Because a lot of people don't know, Chief, that when the situation is going on, there's panicked parents.
Right. And the first reaction they have is to show up to their school.
Right. Protect the
And
children.
what that's going to do is bog down routes for emergency vehicles to get in and out of that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even if there's a crime scene set up, they may try to breach that crime scene. And it's a natural instinct, but that's probably not going to help matters.
Can you train the public in that?
We can try, but it starts with law enforcement and the schools.
Yeah, yeah. I know that in the beginning of the year, because this happens right at the beginning of the year, had a lot of phone calls from kids. Hey, this guy's got a gun here. This guy's got a gun here. It happened in Hobbs, happened in Carlsbad, happened here. And, of course, it all turned out that maybe the kid did have a gun,
right,
or something. And in many instances, it was just a rumor. How do you treat those on an individual basis, Chief?
We take them as if they're true. We treat each one of those very seriously. The schools have an anonymous reporting network that any student can anonymously report a threat while they're in the school. And we are in very close communication with the schools. We just got a school resource officer back, so we now have one. Eventually, I'd like to have 2 school resource officers. Because as I said, we have 9 schools, public schools. We have 1 or 2 private schools. And that's a lot of area for just one school resource officer to cover. But we're proud we got one back, and we work very closely with the schools. Like I said, we meet once a month, so we're all on the same page.
That's a good thing, definitely. So, all right, so we have you couldn't bring him today, but we have a new canine added to the department.
Right. We're happy to announce that we've reinstituted our canine program. We're going to get 2 canines in the next 3 to 4 months. You may remember that one of the unintended consequences of legalizing marijuana in this state meant that all existing canine dogs were automatically obsolete, because you can't untrain a dog to alert on marijuana, only alert on other drugs. So we shut down our program about 1.5 years ago. We've entered into an agreement with the city of Hobbs where we are going to obtain their canine dog, which has already been trained and certified. We have a new canine officer who came over, and that was his dog at Hobbs. So in a way, it's reuniting him with his dog. And as you know, dogs and their handlers have a very close bond.
Yes.
So we're excited that we're going to get that canine this week, and he's ready to go. That's turnkey, as well as a canine unit, which was part of the agreement with the city of Hobbs. And then in January, we're going to send one of our officers to Indiana to obtain a second new canine, and he'll be there for 6 weeks to train on that. So by February, March, we will have 2 canine dogs for the Lovington Police Department.
So, Chief, as departments get their dogs trained, it's a big business because you have to take a small puppy, right, and begin to train him?
Right. I mean, like I said, the training is 6 weeks. The dog has to bond with its handler. The handler gets training on very specific case law involving the use of canines, narcotic stops, traffic stops. So, yes, and a lot of case law is specific to New Mexico. Our laws are more pro-defendant than United States laws. So there's a lot of things you might be able to do in Texas that you can't do here.
So what's the best dog to have as a police dog?
It ranges. I was never a canine officer. I know the dog that we're getting from Hobbs probably today is a Belgian Malinois. They're often canine dogs. German Shepherds also make canine dogs. So it depends.
Do we have names for our dogs yet?
So the one that's coming from HPD, his name is Loki, L-O-K-I. He'll be handled by Officer Robert Still, who recently joined us as a new officer. And we haven't selected the other canine yet, but the officer, when he gets to Indiana to the training institute, will pick out a dog that's suitable for him.
Yeah. The size of our city, is it necessary that we have 2 dogs?
I don't know if it's necessary, but I think most people agree that they do a good job. They help. For instance, Loki is trained on detection of narcotics and not marijuana, so that's important, because he'll be used not only in the schools but on patrol. And you want those vehicle stops where narcotics are found to be legal and being able to be upheld in our courts. So I think they're a deterrent. One thing the canine in the schools can do is be walked through the school parking lot between classes, and unfortunately that's where a lot of contraband is found is in
Right.
the school parking lot. So we're excited about it. We did get a very favorable price for the dog and the unit from Hobbs, so I appreciate them for that. And we think it's important to our department.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you mentioned you should have meant schools. Roswell Independent School District is doing that. And so is the sheriff's office there in Chaves County, where they go to different school districts and at random, schools, and go through the lockers.
Right, right.
And if there's anything there, those dogs will pick it up.
Right. And in those lockers and in that parking lot, since it's school grounds, there's no expectation of privacy. They can go in and obtain that contraband.
Yeah. Well, that is absolutely neat.
We're excited.
When are we getting the Hobbs dog first?
Possibly today.
Really?
Yes, sir. It was approved by our commission. It's been approved by the Hobbs Commission. So it's just a matter of making the transfer.
Chief, what else is going on in our departments?
Happy to announce that we received some funding from the governor, and it's called the Retention and Recruitment Fund. And this is something the governor started in the middle of this year to address the problem of officers staying in law enforcement and attracting new officers to law enforcement. So we are one of the first, if not the first, agency in the state to put this to work. I know Hobbs received a grant as well a couple months ago. So with that money, and it's not as much as I asked for, but it's something, we're able to hire one more certified officer to bring us up to 22. We were capped out at 21. And we're going to take some of that money and offer a retention incentive to our existing officers as a way of saying thank you for sticking with us through the tough times. And it's called a retention incentive.
Those officers that you hire, though, they still have that particular has to go through the academy, right?
Right. Unless we hire an already certified officer.
Oh, okay.
Then they can step in. I mean, we have a training process to get them acclimated to the city of Lovington's procedures. But
Sure.
if you're certified within the last 8 years in New Mexico, you don't have to go back through the police.
Part of that incentive, Chief, would also be to provide housing for them if they need to move somewhere?
Actually, the city of Lovington provides one house for free for new officers. We currently have an employee there. So on a limited basis, we do offer that, yes.
The one thing that I have seen around the city is a lot of homeless people. Are we having a problem with this?
I think we are. It's statewide. I think it's nationwide. As you said, I was just up in Albuquerque, and you see homeless everywhere. Unfortunately, a lot of them suffer from mental illness and or substance abuse. They seem to go hand in hand. And you see them, yes, you do see them walking our city streets.
But you can't help them here. We don't have the resources, do we?
There is something starting that's called the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. Hobbs PD is already doing it. And it's a way of kind of referring these people before they break the law, if we have contact with them, to try and get the help they need. It's not help that the police department can give them because we don't offer counseling, but to get them to the right people.
Yeah, I heard that now that we have a new hospital, the old one's available to do something with it regarding mental behavior.
I've heard rumors to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem that needs to be addressed. It's everywhere. And police departments are somewhat limited in their capacity to help people. That's just not what we do. But we are forced to be social workers every day. We have to interact with these people. And it's the same 24, 3 in Lovington. And, you know, we feel bad because we can't offer them the services. It's almost like we have to arrest them before they can get the help they need. And it shouldn't be that way.
You know, we hear all the time here at the studio and our texters, well, that one guy keeps breaking windows and he keeps getting off. Or that one guy keeps exposing himself at the daycare and then nothing happened to him. What's the situation with that, Chief, exactly?
Well, that goes back to the repeat offender and bail bond, arrest and release, or catch and hold and release. We're not happy about that, and that's something that's got to be changed at the state level.
Yeah.
We do see a lot of repeat offenders. A lot of people blame the judges, but the judges are really just following the law that's set in place, and sometimes their hands are tied in terms of being able to hold someone in jail till their trial because they're all presumed innocent.
That's a huge dilemma. What are we on the issue of drugs here in the city?
It's very prevalent. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fentanyl, methamphetamine. Fentanyl is very deadly. We see it in the form of a little blue pill with an M30 on it.
Right.
It's snorted, smoked, injected. Now we're getting powdered fentanyl, and they mix it with all other kinds of drugs. So a lot of times you don't know what you're getting. We routinely Narcan folks to bring them back from overdoses, as does EMS. So, and we carry it. All our officers carry Narcan.
In case of overdoses.
Right.
We have a lot of those, Chief.
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many. And we want to not only help people that have overdosed, but if one of our officers becomes exposed, make sure he has that Narcan immediately there so another officer can revive him.
Let's talk some of the positive things happening in the department.
Positive things is, well, I just mentioned the retention bonus. We're able, or incentive, the fact that we're able to hire a new officer. Technically, our maximum is 28 officers. We will be at 22. The city is coming along slowly but surely from our financial crisis. So I could hire 4 new officers tomorrow, but they're just going real slowly. We're trying to work with what we have. My budget this year was $2.4 million. 3 years ago, it was $3.7 million. So We're working with a reduced budget, but we're bringing our department back. A year ago, we had 13 officers, and like I said, we're now going to be at 22. So
good.
We've reduced turnover, and we've been able to retain officers.
Chief, always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks, Tom.
Police Chief David Miranda, our guest on the extended version of Being the Breakfast Club. Up next is the award-winning Russ Black with Tradio.
That perfect home, design it in your mind. At Destiny Real Estate, it's dreams that we provide. We buy or sell residential ranches, lots and more. Call Rhonda Burns at Destiny and let her tell you more.
If you're looking to rent, please join our website at www.destinyluxuryrental.com. I've got everything